Hello book nerds and welcome back to Book Club. Today we're going to be talking about Prom Night for Slasher Victims by Matthew Mercer. And I have a confession to make. This is the second book of the trilogy series that Matthew Mercer is making. I did not realize this at the time when I picked up the book. All I saw was that the book looked really cool. I was really getting into slasher films at the time, and I read the back of the blurb. And it kind of alluded to the fact that they had gone through something, at least the main girl had gone through something. But I thought that was like supposed to be part of the story, like, oh, a scary, tragic past that's gonna catch up onto her and we're gonna figure out what it is throughout the story. You know, I thought that was just part of it. I thought this was like a standalone novel. Did not realize this was the second book of a trilogy. And the third book is gonna be coming out, I believe, this year at some point, but I'm not entirely sure. And all I know is that I gotta find the first book of this first before I even try to find the third book. And I don't even know if I'm going to, but we'll get back into that in a second. Let's get into the summary. We have a back of the book blurb, and I'm just, look how nice this book is. It looks like a VHS tape. It really does look like one of those like really old like slasher kind of like tape boxes that you would buy your things in. And I really like right here how it has a rating, and then this looks like this is the like industry that, like, you know what I mean, like if you like it's so hard trying to explain it because I don't have the vocabulary for this kind of stuff, but it looks like this is like a VHS tape box and that this is the movie. I just absolutely love this vibe, and reading it does give that like 80s slasher film kind of vibe to it as well, but we're gonna get into that in a second. Anyway, we have oh my god, it's a full moon. Sorry, I just looked out my window because it caught my eye. Oh my goodness, that is, sorry, I got really distracted by the moon. Back of the book blurb. You know I love me some back of the book blurb, so let's get into it. A night to dismember. Spooky. Haley's I'm already failing at this already. Haley's summer at Camp Safe Woods was cut short because of the murders. She's still having nightmares about her past. Now she's in a new town where bodies are appearing again. Can anything else make her life more difficult? Well, she also has to choose a prom dress. After moving to the sprawling town of Pineside, California, to be closer to her new friends and fellow squirrel cabin campers, Alejandra and Billy, Haley hoped to enjoy her senior year of high school and move on from the tragedy she had gone through. However, when the police come to her door alerting her that her father had broken out of prison and an anonymous letter left at her locker leads to a mysterious woman's corpse, it becomes apparent that Haley's nightmares aren't over. Pineside soon finds itself plagued with a spree of murders with clear but mysterious connection to Haley. While navigating the fears of who the serial killer will target next and dealing with the symptoms of traumas from her past, she's still trying to live the life of a normal high school girl that she deserves. As a member of the prom committee, Haley has an important role in planning a night that her class will never forget. Little does she know, everyone who attends this prom night will soon wish to forget what they see that night. Those who survive, that is. So spooky. And I really love the little pictures on the back of the book as well, because you definitely, when you read it, you look back at it, it's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, because it ties in with the book as well. But yeah. With the knowledge that this is in fact a second book, it really did like kind of give me like, I was really anxious about it. Like after I found out, I was like, oh, this is like obviously a second book. I can't believe I didn't realize that. But I then found out that it doesn't matter if you've read the first book or not, because these characters aren't even the same main characters from the first book. These are just like the background characters from the first book, who are now have their own little thing. So it's not that big of a deal. Anyway, let's get into the characters. We have Haley, who is our final girl and our main character. We have Billy. He has some scars on his face from when he was at his, from the first book. But they kind of give you enough exposition in the book to kind of explain, like, oh, he was fighting off the killer in the first book and he got his scars. Alejandra, or Ollie, I'm just gonna say Allie because it's with the A-L-E, and that's what they just call her, so I'm just calling her Allie. Allie, who is best friends with Haley, and she's also very much of like a party, horny girl kind of vibe. So we have Park Ranger Woodsby, who is a dog from the first book, which Haley got to keep as a service animal, which I think is absolutely adorable. Don't worry, guys. Nothing bad happens to the dog. I'm saying that right here and right now. We have Tiffany Watson, a reporter who was actually called a Gale Weathers wannabe, which I thought was hilarious because I actually really like the movie Scream and the Scream series and franchise as it is. So kind of reading that, I kind of went, oh, that is a Scream reference. I love that, which makes sense. If you're gonna write like an 80s like slasher film, like you gotta reference like some of the, well, it gives off the vibe of an 80s slasher film. This takes place in like the modern day and age, so, but I do like it pays homage to like what slasher films that the author took inspiration from, which he actually tells you in his like acknowledgments at the end of the book, which we'll get to later. Then you have Miss Ivory, who's the teacher. You have Haley's love interest, Wesley Flores Parker, also baseball star, which I thought was really funny that was like the main sport that the town goes crazy over, because in most like small towns or movies it's like the basketball star or the football star. Nope, it's the baseball star in this book. So I thought that was just really fun. Then you have Haley's parents, Alexa and Megan, which, yeah, that's all the characters that I feel like really need an important, what's it called? Like an important distinction. Like all the characters that I'm going to point out. Because obviously there is more characters in the book. But to me, these are like the main characters that we kind of like are introduced to the most. Who we talk to the most. Who we get to see the most of. So, absolutely love it. And let's get into the plot of Prom Night for Slasher Victims. Alright, so the plot for Prom Night for Slasher Victims, it really does feel like you're watching like one of those like slasher movies from like the 80s or 90s, but we're going to get into that really quick. So we are in Pineside, California. The school that Haley and her friends are going to is under construction. Half of it is under construction. This is important for later on. You'll see when I talk about it. And she's super excited for school. She's ready. She's super excited. It's her senior year. She's really excited to be with her friends. She's just overall excited. She makes it really clear in the book. But before she leaves, police go over to her house and it's like, hey, your father broke out of prison. And her parents are like, why do you need to tell us this? Like, why is this information that we need to know? Like, he doesn't know who she is. And they're like, well, he's her pen pal kind of thing. So it's this whole thing where it's like she was pen paling like her father in prison and now he's gone. And it was the thing of like, oh, he doesn't even know that it was me. Like, he doesn't realize that he has a daughter or anything like that. And her parents are absolutely upset with it, but she ends up leaving. And she gets to the school. She wants to tell her friends about it, but she doesn't want, rumors to circulate or anything like that. So she ends up just talking with her friends, Allie and Billy. But while that's all happening, they make like a little side challenge because prom's coming up. They're on the prom committee and they need to do a bake sale for donations. So they have a little challenge, a little bet, whoever makes the most money by doing their thing. Billy's going to be doing the bake sale and helping with that. Allie is going to be doing a car wash with the cheerleaders. Whoever makes the most money gets to pick the other's prom outfit. And they're kind of doing this really fun, teasing, flirty kind of thing. And it's all in good fun. And then Haley then gets a note in her locker saying to come meet them down by the bleachers on the baseball field, and that someone's going to be waiting there for her. And Allie's like, oh, is it a secret admirer? Does Billy have a crush on you? Like, I think Billy has a crush on you. Like, she's very obviously projecting that her and Billy should get together. And Haley's over here like, I don't want to date Billy. Like, girl, stop. But they skip class, go down to the bleachers by the baseball field, and instead of a potential love interest or a secret admirer, it's a woman's corpse hanging. So, yeah. They end up calling the police. School gets cut off. The police officer asks her what's going on, what's happening. Everyone already knows what happened to them at the camp that they went to, which is apparently, like, it turned into a slaughter thing. I mean, slasher vibes, summer camp. You get the picture. So it's a very common knowledge that they've survived, like, a murderous spree before, and now suddenly there's a body there. So anyway, woman's corpse hanging from the bleachers underneath. And they all go home, and as they're waiting for Billy to join them so that way they can all go home together, a reporter is like, oh hey, there is a runaway jailbird, and also his daughter goes to school here, and that's her over there. And she starts trying to bombard her with interview questions and everything like that when a teacher, Miss Ivory, which is like the most beloved teacher at all, and she's a very kind of like casual, I'm friends with you kind of teacher. I don't give a fuck. I'm a party girl. Like, I'll drink. I'm very, like, I don't care kind of thing. And she comes up and she, like, gets Haley away from her. And she does this thing where, like, she hugs her. And Haley makes the comment of, like, her face being right in her teacher's, like, tits. And the funniest thing is that in that moment, I was like, hey, I feel like this teacher is, like, the one behind everything. So I feel like I'm getting better at these types of books. So obviously this is a slasher book, and it's not really much of like a murder mystery. It's just like a survive the horrors that are coming at you kind of thing. But I've always told people that whenever I watch slasher movies, that a slasher movie is basically a murder mystery, but you get the viewpoint of the victims instead. And that's what I always tell my friends, that's what I always tell my family members whenever I'm watching slasher films like Scream or I Know What You Did Last Summer, is that basically it's a murder mystery, but you're the victim. Or that you're the next attempted victim. So it is kind of a mystery, it kind of isn't, but like, I like slasher films, and I feel like this is following like how a slasher film would be. And I immediately clocked it, like the teacher has something to do with the slasher. I'm not going to say spoilers for this. You guys should already know at this point that I'm going to talk about the whole plot, who did what, why they did it, stuff like that. So I feel like spoilers aren't really needed, but yeah, that was kind of my moment of like, I have a feeling that she's part of it, that she's like either the person doing it. But anyway, so we then get a time skip about a month or so to Haley's 18th birthday, and she decides to go to a tattoo shop, and she gets a little tattoo of a squirrel to kind of symbolize her and her, well, all of her friends get squirrel tattoos with her, just kind of symbolize that they were like squirrel camp mates, cabin members or something at their summer camp, because that was like their little mascot was a squirrel. I'm getting distracted by the moon. It's just so bright. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's just so nice. She got her tattoo, and she's really happy with it, and later that night, on her 18th birthday, the tattooers that tattooed her...
Wait a damn minute.
What? The tattooers that tattooed her... There we go. I think I said it wrong the first time, but anyway, they end up trying to get freaky with each other, and we get to have this whole, like section or like chapter with them, and they're like flirting and they're getting freaky. And the most terrible thing to do when there's like a killer running around in your small town is that the girl tattooer, like she stripped down naked, they tied her up with towels, and they put like a blind over her eyes, and then they heard like a scary noise, and the male tattooer just left her like that to go investigate the noise, and she's screaming at him to untie her first, to let her go first, and he just doesn't. He just goes out and sees what the noise is, but of course he gets knocked out, and this female tattooer dies in a very gruesome way that I'm not even gonna say how she died. If you're interested in knowing how she died, read the damn book yourself. I'm not gonna repeat it. But it's just this whole thing where they die, and then the next day, Haley finds out about this from Tiffany Watson, the reporter, the Gale Weathers wannabe, and they make a little bit of a deal with each other, like, hey, I'll let you know any news that there is. You let me know what any news you have, because obviously I want a story here, and we'll keep each other safe that way. And she agrees to it, and it's not like it's a bargain that she's making by herself. Her mom, one of her moms is there with her to notice this bargain happening. But the reason why Tiffany goes to her and is like, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to try and put you and your family in trouble. I just wanted interview questions. I got an anonymous tip about your dad who has a daughter who goes to the school. Your picture was there as well as your home address and your number and all this kind of stuff. But this happened to Pete, to the tattoo artist that you saw yesterday or the day before or anything like that. And they actually left a message for you. And I have the message written down right here because I really think this is interesting. So obviously both the tattooers died. The woman died a very gruesome death, and the man also died, but he was more of like slow tortured kind of thing. But he actually got a really bad tattoo on his chest where it says, Haley Atkins, death dances with those around you, patiently awaiting your turn to take the floor. I love it. I love that. Like, I love that so much. Like, it's terrible, it's gruesome, like, what happens in the book and everything like that, but I love, like, kind of, like, little, it's not a hint, it's kind of, like, taunting, it's very much of, like, a threat, like, sending a message, like, with a message, but making it in such, like, an ominous and horrific way. I like that in slasher films. Like, that was one of the things that I really wanted to watch I Know What You Did Last Summer, is because these teenagers, these kids, like, they're getting, like, these really random suspicious notes, like, I know what you did last summer. There's so much suspense with that. And with this, I genuinely love this. So, after all of that, Haley decides to go visit, like, her mother's grave. And so I know I said that she has two moms, but her bio mom and her bio dad got together, made Haley. Her bio mom died. Her bio dad went to jail. And then she got adopted by her bio mom's best friend, who is married to another woman. And that's how she has two moms. So her bio mom is dead, and she decided to go out of town a little bit to go to a different flower shop because all the shops around Haley started, like, telling her to get out because after the news ran and that message came out, everyone's like, oh, we don't want anything to do with her, like, she's gonna, like, bring us bad luck and bad fortune, or we're gonna be killed next, kind of thing. So she goes a little bit out of town to a flower shop where Wesley Florist Parker, Florist is a nickname that he got because he works in a flower shop, so she goes in, they flirt a little bit, he makes her a bouquet for her mom's grave, he gives her a rose, they're kind of a little flirty, and he gives it to her for free, and she's like, hey, we're doing, like, a bake sale, you should come over and see it, and I'll give you, like, a cupcake for free to repay you back for the bouquet and all that. So she goes to her mom's grave. She tells her that she's a senior, she's 18, she's an adult now, she misses her, all, you know, super heartwarming stuff. And then we get to the fundraiser for, like, the bakery and stuff, which is really funny. There's one character, Leo. I didn't mention him in my little characters list, but one character, Leo, is clearly, like, the pothead of the school kind of thing. Like, he's the one who gets drugs and alcohol to everyone. He has a dealer and stuff like that. But Haley's friend, Billy, does not seem to realize that. He's like, oh, he's not like that. He's a good guy. I can't believe everyone keeps talking bad about him. And it's, like, very obvious, like, no, he's a pothead. He's a stoner. There's something in the brownies that he made for this bake sale kind of thing. But anyway, at the front, oh my goodness. At the fundraiser, Wesley shows up, gets a cupcake, pays for it, and they swap phone numbers, and he starts texting Haley, and she's all getting giggly. She's like, oh my god, is this like a crush? Like, he's the most popular guy in school. He's the baseball superstar. He invited me to his baseball game, and this is so cute. This is so adorable. Like, we're getting this little nice, cute love teenage romance, and it's adorable. I love it. It's so cute. I'm a sucker for romance. At school, the next day, Billy and Allie get to learn who won the bet, like, who made more money from the fundraiser, and Billy did, so he's very excited to pick out Allie's outfit, and Billy kind of confides in Haley that he does like Allie, but he's not sure if Allie likes him, and Haley agrees to try and, like, figure that out for him, and everything like that. So we also have, oh my goodness, I didn't mention the mascot. The school has a mascot called Penny the Penguin, and it's this super big important thing where no one knows who is inside the mascot costume. Anyway, this is important. I can't believe I forgot to mention Penny the Penguin in the beginning. I'm actually upset. Anyway, super quick, Penny the Penguin is the mascot of the school. No one can really know who is inside the mascot costume. It's like a whole big school tradition where you don't find out who's inside or anything like that. Penny the Penguin's costume got updated, so there's going to be a new mascot for it. And at the baseball game where Wesley invited Haley, that's where like the new update is going to happen, where the old Penny the Penguin costume is going to like graciously like leave and all that kind of stuff while they have the new Penny the Penguin. So the girl who was originally in the Penny the Penguin costume, in the mascot costume, Maddie, she's upset about like the costume getting updated and her losing her position as like the main mascot person. So she steals the new Penny the Penguin mascot costume, but as she's trying to leave the school and everyone's gone, teachers are gone, students are gone, someone else stole the original Penny the Penguin costume and was just standing behind her car, and she then gets stabbed and kidnapped. And then at the baseball game where Haley goes to buy her prom ticket and also enters a raffle for a limo, someone is in the Penny the Penguin costume after Maddie, the girl who originally was in the costume, is gone. And Haley's kind of like, oh, this is weird. Like, where's the girl who's normally like in there? Like, she's like, oh, is she just upset that she can't be in the costume anymore? Or something like that. Like, it's just... Haley's like thinking it's really weird at the baseball game, but she then is soon distracted at not only the fact that she won the raffle ticket for a limo ride to prom, but also Wesley did a promposal at the baseball game at the end after they won the game. So she's on cloud nine. Penny the Penguin is out of her mind and all that, and she is very much kind of like all flirty and giggly with Wesley, that at school the next day, in order to like escape like all the stares of everyone kind of like going like, oh my god, she's dating him, like, oh my god, they're dating, oh my god, they're like going to prom together. They end up going to the library, which is under construction because half the school's under construction, and they're just kind of hiding in there. They're chatting. They're kind of going like, I understand if you don't want to be with me because everyone just, all this terrible stuff is happening around me. And he's over here like, no, I really like you. You treat me like a human and not like a future superstar. Like, oh my god. Like, they're just kind of doing that whole thing, which is sweet. It's super cute. Then Miss Ivory comes in saying that she was looking for other books for her next class or for the class for the next semester. And she kind of tells them like, you're not supposed to be in here, but since I'm the cool teacher, trademark, I'll let this pass. Like, just make sure to get to class on time and everything like that. So then while everyone, Billy, Allie, Haley is at Haley's house with Alexa and Megan, they're just kind of hanging out. Haley leaves Billy and Allie in her room to go help make dinner and all that kind of stuff. So that way Billy has a chance to ask Allie out, which he does. They kind of start getting a little freaky with it because he's like, oh my god, will you go to prom with me? And she immediately jumps on his bones. Or she tries to, if it wasn't for a fact that something broke through the window and startled them. While downstairs, Haley is like helping get dinner ready, setting the table, all this other stuff, when the dog Woodsby starts growling and barking, which he apparently never does. But he's growling and he's barking and he's looking outside the window, and then suddenly there's a crash from upstairs and everyone's kind of like, oh my god, what's happening? Like, something broke through the window. What's going on? And Alexa's upstairs, Haley's upstairs, Woodsby is still barking like crazy downstairs. Allie and Billy are kind of like, what is happening? Like, oh my god. So they all go back downstairs. And what they see is Penny the Penguin, the mascot suit, holding a knife up to Megan's, like, body and, like, threatening to stab in there. Which is absolutely crazy and insane. Like, I was thinking of, like, oh my god, it feels like Five Nights at Freddy's, like, mascot horror kind of stuff over here, because I also watch like mascot horror video games. So everything's like super tense, like, oh my god, is Megan gonna die? But then whoever busts through the door is none other than Tiffany Watson, the reporter. She has a little like handgun, shoots at Penny the Penguin, who then stabs Megan and runs out through the back door while they're calling the police, calling an ambulance. It's just absolute chaos. So it's just absolute chaos. Megan ends up going to the hospital. Alexa stays with her. Allie, Billy, and Haley are talking to a cop, and the cop's like, hey, look, the threat itself on the dead body was talking about dancing with death, and I know you don't want to, but look what's gonna happen with prom. Like, maybe you shouldn't go to prom with everything that's happening. And they're like, no, we're still gonna go to prom, but now prom is gonna have all this extra security. But they're also on the prom committee, so they go and get a DJ, which really little side plot. There's a student there called Nia. She's been working a lot to help support her family. She's not gonna be able to go to prom, and she works at a music store, so they go to her and is like, hey, be our DJ for prom, so that way you can also go to prom, which is super cute and wonderful. And Allie does babysitting on the side, and so when she goes to, like, her normal job, to, like, the normal couple who hires her for babysitting, she walks in, looks to the floor, immediately sees a giant pool of blood, runs out, calls the police. She does the smart thing. She doesn't stay and looks around. She just, like, she runs out and calls the police, tell her what she saw, and be like, you gotta get here right now. There's pool on the blood. It's at this house. I think something bad happened. Get here right now. And then she turns back and looks at the house, and she sees the kid that she's supposed to be babysitting screaming and crying and just banging on the window on the upper floor, telling the police to hurry up. The police, of course, is like, we're not there yet. Don't do anything. I don't advise you do anything. They'll hurt you. So Allie just kind of sees the kid and just goes, ah, fuck it. Goes inside, grabs, like, a butter knife and runs up the stairs, and she has her pepper spray as well, ready to, like, just pepper spray and stab and do whatever in order to get the kid out. And everything seems fine, but she goes into the kid's room, and the kid is absolutely crying and sobbing, and who is there but Penny the Penguin? Again, this feels like a mascot horror video game in a sense. Like, Penny the Penguin's there, and she has her pepper spray, so she starts spraying it. That's not working. It's also going back to her because whoever's in the Penny the Penguin mascot suit has, like, this buffer for them, so it's not going to get to them as bad. And so she tries getting her with the butter knife, but Penny the Penguin grabs the butter knife instead and, like, tries and stabs her with it, but it's a butter knife. It's not going to do as much damage. Her ribs are probably, like, either cracked or broken, but she's fine. She broke a nail. But she gets kind of, like, knocked out, choked out from, like, the pepper spray and, like, not being able to see, and then got a little bit choked out by Penny the Penguin. And when she comes back to, the child has been kidnapped by Penny the Penguin, which is just absolutely insane and crazy. It's, oh god, I'm just loving the energy of this book with what it's doing. Like, it really does feel like a slasher film and, like, a mystery with, like, the more that it keeps happening and going. And I just love the vibes it's been giving. So then, the next day, Allie and Haley are trying to relax and stay calm. Billy takes Leo, the drug dealer, the pothead stoner dude I was talking about, to his dealer's house to get some alcohol for the punch for prom. And when they get there, Leo goes up to the dealer's house, runs back, and just tells him to fucking drive as fast as you can, because all the dealers and the drug dealers and stuff were dead. So they go to where Allie and Haley is. They explain the situation. Billy has to revel with the fact that his friend is, in fact, a pothead and is not going to live that down by his other friends, because they were telling him, like, hey, he's a fucking pothead. Like, hello. Anyway, so Haley just tells Leo to just calm down, send an anonymous tip, give him the address, and that's that. You don't have to worry about anything else as long as no one else saw you. Prom night. Prom night is finally here for the gang. Wesley, Haley, Allie, and Billy, they end up going to prom. They're there, they're having a good time, they're dancing, they're vibing. We get a bit of a cut to where Alexa is at the hospital with Megan, and she steps out of the room to go to a vending machine, get some snacks. She goes back to Megan's room. Megan is suddenly gone, and there was, like, a police detail on her as well, so how the hell did they get past the police? Who knows? So they're gone. There's police at the school as well. Prom king and queen is announced. It's Haley and Wesley. So cute and adorable. They slow dance, they kiss, and all that stuff. And there's kind of like a little wink wink nudge nudge, like Haley and Wesley are going to go to the library where they're going to get a little freaky, and Allie and Billy are going to go back to the limousine and they're going to get freaky at Haley's house because Haley doesn't have her parents home. And so it doesn't matter if they leave prom a little bit early. So while this is all going on, Miss Ivory kind of like comes by and is like, oh my god, Haley, Wesley, hi, like, congratulations, you guys make such a cute couple, you're so in love. And they kind of get her like away by like being like, oh hey, can you go get like Nia some drinks from the punch and all that? So they go to the library and they're getting a little freak on, they're kissing, they're making out, and Haley realizes that Wesley is being really rough with her. And she's thinking like, okay, maybe he likes it rough, but it is then shown that he finds her absolutely disgusting, chokes her out until she like knocks out. And then we get a cut to where Allie and Billy is in the limousine, but the limousine suddenly stops. They're not at the house, they're not anywhere that they recognize, and they're trying to tell them to get out. And when they do get out of the limousine, Billy is knocked unconscious, and then Allie is knocked unconscious, and then we get another cut to Miss Ivory giving a drink to Nia, who's the DJ, and they're kind of chatting, and it's a little weird or inappropriate for like a teacher-student conversation, because Miss Ivory is like, oh, they snuck off, didn't they? Like, they snuck off to have sex, didn't they? And Nia's like, are you supposed to be talking to me like that? Because you're a teacher. But she starts drinking the drink, but then she has a seizure and throws up and, like, is trying to reach for help for Miss Ivory, but Miss Ivory does not pay attention to her. And everything, and that's also happening to several other students all around the gym during prom, is that a bunch of students are also having seizures and falling dead to the ground. The police are coming in, they're like, oh my god, what's happening? And she's like just kind of walking around, like not really helping or anything like that. Everyone's screaming, there's chaos. She kills a few kids who notices her not doing anything, and when she goes to the punch bowl, she sees Leo there, who's like, I don't know what's going on, I had something to drink, I had an edible, I feel like I'm really freaking out. And Miss Ivory is like, oh, you're fine, everything's okay, takes them and then drowns them in the punch bowl. And then she starts leaving the gym, where a cop is like radioing like, we need backup and like a paramedics and blah blah blah, like it's just crazy in here. And he looks at Miss Ivory and goes like, hey, you need to get out of here and go get help, like something happened here. And she goes, oh, I put fentanyl in the punch bowl, and then takes the gun, shoots the cop and shoots the two paramedics that were with him, and then walks away. We then get another cut where Haley is in a pool, like in the pool area where the pool is and everything like that. And we get Wesley, who's like kind of taunting her, telling her how disgusting and broken and horrible she is. And she's not wasting like tears on him. Like, she's upset because she didn't realize like how awful he was, and she really was falling in love with him. But she's not gonna waste her tears on him. And he's just, taunting her and making fun of her and being like, you're disgusting, you're horrible, I would never actually have sex with you, that's only for her, she's amazing, she's the greatest. And Haley's over here like, okay, granted, I'm a horrible, disgusting human being, who the fuck is she? Why am I tied up? Why are you doing this? What the hell is happening? And suddenly, Miss Ivory comes in and she's like, what are you doing here? Kind of thing. And Miss Ivory's like, my name isn't actually Miss Ivory, that's the name that I stole. The woman's body that you found under the bleachers, that's the real Miss Ivory, I just stole her identity. And then, yeah. That's when she kind of starts going like, oh, like, you'll never understand, it's too complex and stuff. And then she kind of starts berating Wesley. She's like, you didn't follow my plan, you didn't go to the T, and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And Haley's over here like, great, does anyone want to tell me what the hell is going on? And it's just so convoluted and crazy. Miss Ivory and Wesley, I'm gonna keep calling her that for now. Miss Ivory and Wesley, they're kind of like, you don't know who I really am. Like, you don't know what I've done, like, what everything is about. And she ends up, like, bringing out 2 black bags. And it's like, we're gonna play a game, like, guess whoever's in these bags and I won't kill them. If you guess wrong, I will kill them. One of the bags has like a smaller person in it, so she's like, that's the child that you kidnapped. And Wesley wants to have, like, power over her. She's like, no, like, that's not good enough. What's his last name? And Miss Ivory's like, you got it right, so I'm not going to kill them. Like, ignore him. He's just being an idiot. Goes over to the other person. She's like, oh, it's Maddie. It's the person who was, like, Penny the Penguin, because she's gone and disappeared. And Miss Ivory's like, nope, you got it wrong. Stabs the body bag until it stops moving. And then reveals it to be Megan, who she kidnapped from the hospital. And they reveal that then Maddie, who was stuffed in the mascot costume of Penny the Penguin, was in a supply closet, which Wesley took out and showed her, which was giving me really big Five Nights at Freddy's vibes, because oh my god. There's something different of watching a slasher film and watching on the TV versus reading a slasher book and, like, seeing, like, especially someone who has, like, a very active imagination and just kind of seeing it in my mind. There's something really horrifying with it, and it's crazy. So then Billy and Allie show up, and it was Haley's father who broke out of prison, which Miss Ivory broke him out of prison. Brought them here and was like, you told me just to kidnap these kids, like, here are the kids. And that's where Miss Ivory, like, it's like, oh, I'm actually this lady, Victoria. And it's this whole background of the book where at the summer camp, the person who was going on, like, a murder spree was someone who was hiding from his murderous sister, Victoria. And so it's Victoria who came to these kids for revenge, being like, oh, there's this whole thing where I believe, like, if you kill someone, you're granted a wish, and the bigger the sacrifice of the kill, the bigger the wish is granted. So I was trying to kill my entire family to get immortality and eternal beauty and youth, but you killed my brother instead. And they're over here like, we didn't kill your brother, he tried to kill us, and it was someone else that killed him. And she's over here like, yeah, no shit, I'm just gonna kill you to exact and write messages on your backs for the person who killed my brother, and then I'm gonna go kill her and all the family she loves, and then I will be granted eternal youth and beauty. And they're just kind of looking at her like, this is the dumbest thing ever. This is so stupid. And I really love how they poke fun at, like, the tropes of, like, slasher films and horror movies and stuff like that, because they're very calm. Like, when they're going like, wait, did we miss the thing where, like, the villain can't help but talk about her big grand plan and why they were doing all of this because they can't help themselves, which always leads to their downfall. Like, they're making fun of her while they're actively in danger of dying. So after this whole explanation, Tiffany Watson comes in, takes a shot at Haley's dad, because Haley's dad found out that he is Haley's dad, and is like, oh my god, I'm gonna set free the daughter that I didn't know and realize. But Tiffany Watson shoots him, thinking that he was gonna kill her, and didn't reload her gun, tries to shoot Vicky, which doesn't end up well. So Haley gets her hands free, Vicky stabs Tiffany, and while her hands are free and all this stuff, like, Vicky's still going on and on about sacrifice and wishes and all that kind of stuff. And she accidentally cuts Haley's wrist and her thigh. And she ends up pushing Haley into the pool, and her feet are still tied. So she ends up drowning in the pool a little bit. But Tiffany, who was stabbed, like, she got the knife and, like, sent it to her in the water. And while Vicky is just, like, talking about how, like, your friend is dead, I wish I would have killed you in front of her, but this is what happens when you piss me off, and now I'm gonna kill you too. And Haley rises up from the water. She has the knife with her because she cut herself free, and she's, like, literally standing she's literally right behind Vicky in the pool. She's just, like, hiding in the water kind of thing. No one knows that she's alive. But then her mom, Alexa, comes in, is kind of, like, you know, distraught that her wife is dead. Her daughter appears to be dead because there's a lot of blood in the pool itself. And Haley kind of goes, like, it's a now or never moment, has the knife in her hand, reaches up and slashes the Achilles heel of Vicky, drags her into the water, and basically, like, pushes her down, throws the knife to someone else, and she gets out of the pool, tells them to, like, go check on Tiffany, she's alive. And when Victoria tries to get out of the pool, it's Haley's mom, Alexa, who has the knife just pointing at her, and she can't kill her, kind of thing. So Haley takes the knife and, like, keeps the knife pointed at Vicky, And Vicky's like, oh, you're gonna kill me? Like, you're not gonna send me back to prison? Like, I've escaped prison once, I could do it again kind of thing, because she helped the dude escape. So Haley's like, yeah, no, I'm gonna kill you, because then I'll get peace of mind knowing that you're dead and your bloodline is gone, and we don't have to deal with anyone else from your family being psycho murderers or anything like that. And so she kind of mocks Vicky in this moment, going like, oh, I'm gonna wish for a big, juicy cheeseburger, because that's all your life is worth. And it's kind of like a comeback, because, like, Vicky was also taunting her in the same way. And Vicky looks at her and goes like, okay, fair, but since I already killed a bunch of students and teachers and people, I'm gonna use my wish that every time you get a fast food cheeseburger or any kind of cheeseburger, it's just gonna be nothing but pickles on it, and you're gonna hate it. Haley then kills her, and that's kind of the end of the story right there. We have an epilogue afterward where we kind of get that everyone graduated. There's like a big sad moment where it's kind of like the loss of students and faculty during that whole manslaughter time. And I forgot to mention, like, Vicky tells Wesley to kill himself, and he does, which is why I stopped mentioning him so much. Yeah, she ended up, like, getting, like, he was killed too, so doesn't feel too bad about it. But at the end of their senior year, in the epilogue, they're going back to their summer camp. They're going to be camp counselors, and they end up getting a cheeseburger on the way there from McDonald's. And it's, like, the best cheeseburger she's ever seen, that she's ever gotten from a McDonald's. But when she, like, confirms to her friends, like, I said no pickles, right? Like, is it weird that I feel scared about this? And about her, like, her curse and her wishes, like, that it might come true? And they're like, it's fine. If you have pickles, I'll eat your pickles. Like, it's fine. They end up taking the burger bun off, and they see nothing but a bunch of pickles on there. And they're like, oh my god, there's no way, and blah, blah, blah. But it's fine. It's whatever. So they also stopped by where her unmarked grave was, which I don't know why there would be an unmarked grave for her in the woods somewhere, but apparently they just threw her body in the woods and buried her there. So they go to find the grave because there was a taunt between Allie and Vicky, where Allie said that if she ever survives this, she's gonna kill her and piss on her grave. And she's actually gonna go do it. So, but when they get to the grave, the body's gone. Like, it's been dug up and the body's gone. So then they just get in the car and drive to the summer camp. And that's the end of the book. That's it. That's it. The end. We got a bit of a cliffhanger. So I kind of want to go read the first book now. So that way I'm prepared to read the third book. But we're going to get a little bit more into that, into my personal thoughts. I need to take a small break. So my personal thoughts on the book Prom Night for Slasher Victims. It was a very easy read. I read it in about 2 to 3 days, and mostly because I had, like, a lot of time to read it. I probably could have read it in one day if I didn't start getting bored of reading. I wasn't bored of the book. I was bored of the act of reading itself. I wanted to kind of stop reading, listen to music, watch some TV, like, kind of give myself a break from reading itself, but not from the story. So very easy to read. I blew through it really quickly. It did not take me long. I really enjoyed it, though. I also realized I shouldn't be reading this book at night, because on one of the days that I was reading it, I was actually reading it, like, late into the night, and I kind of realized that murder mystery books and slasher books are very different, and this has been freaking me out when I read it at night, but that was the only time I could read it. That was the only time I had time to read. And it was it sucked me in so much that I started getting freaked out around my house, which obviously I'm still freaked out in my house. As you could tell, I had to take a small break and search my house to make sure nobody came in. But again, slashers are just mysteries, but from the viewpoint of the victims. I stand by what I said. I'm going to give this a 2 or 3 out of 5. On my Bookly app, I gave it a 3 out of 5, but I mentioned that I might lower the rating itself. But honestly, that's just because there's a lot, and I do mean a lot of mistakes, grammar and spelling-wise, in this book. It actually took me by surprise that I was noticing these mistakes, because normally I don't notice, like, big grammar mistakes or spelling mistakes because my eyes just kind of fix it and just keep going. But there's, like, several words that are misspelled, even names. Like, one of the names in the book is Jackson, And I've found like 3 different misspellings of like Jack-on, Jason, like just different misspellings of the word Jackson, and then also like big grammar mistakes and sentences that didn't make sense. Like, it really made me feel like that no one really edited this or looked it over. It really was like he just wrote it and then sent it in, and they published it. So I don't know much about Matthew Mercer. I don't do backgrounds on authors because I'm reading the book. I don't care about the author's life that much. I just want to read the book. Like, it's the story I'm interested in. So that's why it has such a low rating for me, because honestly, if I'm able to tell the grammar and spelling mistakes, that's a really big thing, because normally I just I don't notice them at all, but if you're making enough of those mistakes for me to notice in almost every single chapter, that's a bit of an issue, dude. But yeah, my dumbass did not realize this was the 2nd book of the series. I need to go and read the 1st book now. And the 3rd book is coming out, I think, this year, I believe. I'm not entirely sure. Do not quote me on that. But I also wanted to talk about the movies that he got inspiration from when writing this book. Carrie, the 1976 version, the Scream franchise, Halloween 1978, Prom Night, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Jennifer's Body, Mean Girls, and Superbad. And this is in the acknowledgments at the end of the book. This is also where, because I like reading the acknowledgments, because normally they're not super long, but the acknowledgments and the afterword, this is where I kind of realized Haley, Billy, and Allie weren't the main characters of the 1st book. It was a completely different character who was the main character of the 1st book. So, in my mind, it doesn't even matter that I read the 2nd book of the series, because if it's not the same main character from the 1st book, why would it matter? You know what I mean? And it actually kind of did piss me off a little bit, because I felt really bad that I read the 2nd book and I didn't notice it was the 2nd book until it was too late and I was invested in the story itself. But then finding out, oh, these aren't the same characters that survive, death and being hunted down in the 1st book. That's a completely different character that's only barely mentioned a few times twice in the 2nd book, and then the 3rd book is going to be going back to that 1st main character from the 1st book. What? I don't know. To me, it's really weird that your series doesn't have just one full main character, or if you're going to have 1st book has one main character, 2nd book has a different main character, why not have the 3rd book be another different main character instead of just going back to that 1st main character? It doesn't make sense to me, but overall, I liked the story of Prom Night for Slasher Victims. It makes me want to go find the 1st book and read it, and I'm low-key excited about the 3rd book, but with how much grammar mistakes there are in this, I'm kind of hesitant to read it as well. But you know what? A 2 to 3 out of 5 isn't terrible. And the story, I'm obviously passionate about the story. The story was great. It read like a movie kind of thing. And I really enjoyed it. And if you enjoyed this video, give me a like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to know when I upload. Or I hope you enjoyed the video. I enjoyed talking about the book. And I will see you in the next chapter. Bye! Oh my god, everything hurts. Oh, I didn't even notice that this is signed.